Welcome back to the Murdy Creative Co podcast. I'm your host, Colin Murdy, and today's topic is small businesses during elections. But first, I want to say thank you to everyone who's supported the company so far. If you haven't got a chance, go check us out on the web at murdycreative.co. That's MURDY creative.co. Or you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram by searching at murdycreative.co to see the best of our product shots. Follow us to keep up to date with our daily photos and be the first one to know about new product launches. You can also use the subscribe button at the bottom of our website to be included in all of our new product announcements. Be sure to check out our laser engraving, personalization options, and exclusive colors on the website, or you can get a blank one on Amazon Prime. First and foremost, I am not talking about a political candidate. I'm not talking about who I'm voting for. I'm not talking about who I think you should vote for. This is not that podcast. I don't like those podcasts, and frankly, when it comes down to it, everybody and their brother is always talking about all of the candidates. That's not really what this is about. What this is about is what happens to small businesses during political elections and political seasons, because it actually is interesting and how it all plays out. So first and foremost, for those of you who've been living under a rock, have no cell phone devices, have nothing, internet, nothing like that, today is election day in the US, and it's going to be interesting, to say the least. I don't know whether it's going to be whatever it's going to be, but it's going to be interesting. However, for small businesses, it's actually been interesting for a little while now. And here's what matters. When you're a small business, there's always an X factor in the market in general. People talk a lot about the rise and fall of the stock market and how that affects the general populace. And for the most part, a lot of people, other than obviously people who are retiring at this moment, for the most people, the stock market's rises and falls don't necessarily affect them directly or very often. Small businesses, I think, fall under that same category, and it depends on the business, where for the most part, the stock market ebb and flow doesn't matter a lot. However, there is this concept of wealth in people's minds. And when the stock market's doing very well, people feel wealthier. Now, whether that's true or not is actually an irrelevant point, but people feel that way, which means they're more likely to spend. And also in risky environments, people are far more risk averse at spending, right? So during times of great stress, unsureness, just the overall feeling of I don't know what's going to happen next, people are more inclined to save their money. Now, that can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing, or it can be neutral, right? Obviously, saving money is usually a good thing. However, when you save money, and if a lot of people save money at the same time, what ends up happening is spending starts to slow down. Well, one of the effects that can have is the spending can slow down, driving down revenues for companies. And when revenues are driven down, that can cause the stock market to become a little more unstable, and the stock prices can fall. And if the stock prices fall, it makes people feel like the economy is getting worse. And so you've got kind of a little bit of a combination of effects. Now, normally can take up to 3 or 4 months before effects like that begin to play out. But we've had COVID for a while now, and so a lot of these, unsure, the level of anxiety in the world is actually relatively high right now, especially, and the election is only making that worse. So one of the things that is for sure happening is advertising is more expensive. For those of you who have been on social media the last, 8 months, everything is political ads, just constantly. And everyone hates that. And I think a lot of the social media companies are trying to continually, show you other ads that are not political. However, if you're looking at the people that are spending money, the political candidates and just all of the related entourage that goes along with them, be it, PACs, be it just regular people spending money on advertising, you'll see that the advertising cost skyrockets for social media advertising. We have been pulling back significantly on our social media marketing at the same time that we're ramping up our email marketing. And the email marketing has been an amazing success early on, and I'm very happy about that. And I'll probably talk more about that shortly. But with that in mind, the overall cost of advertising on social media is high. I don't think it's going to go down after the election. Frankly, I think it's going to continue to be high because I think a lot of the companies that have been holding off spending their marketing budget are beginning to feel the hit of that. And so they're going to go spend all of their money on the November and December advertising, for Christmas, right? Now, you always see during this time of year a rise in the cost of ads in November and December because of that pre-Christmas and Christmas season advertising. Normally it tapers off in January and it gets cheaper, but that's always a thing. It's even worse, though, in light of the fact that I think a lot of the companies have been restricting their marketing budgets during that ramp up, and now they have extra marketing dollars where they need to make up the revenues during Christmas. And so I think we're going to see a big cost jump there. Another aspect of small businesses, I think, is that you want to talk about the concept of cost of regulation. Regulatory environments, a lot of people talk about regulatory environments, and a lot of times I think regular people don't think about what that means, or they don't understand it, and that's fine, because frankly, when it comes down to it, most of the time you aren't affected by it directly or in an obvious way. For some people, like for example, where I live, we have emissions testing that we have to do. That's a regulatory thing, right? That is something that people know about in effect. For businesses, a lot of the regulatory environment is very much real. It's very much part of our day-to-day. It is a common problem. And for small businesses especially, it can be a very expensive problem. Many of you have heard me talk about my sales tax rant over and over, and it's got its own problems, but that's a good example of why regulation can be expensive for small businesses. So when you look at regulations, or when you look at sales tax, I should say, there's a cost of compliance, right? What that means is that you have to pay someone, or you have to buy a service or something to collect that money, to analyze the money, to pay out the money, to make sure that you're in compliance. There's all of those costs, and oftentimes the cost of compliance is more expensive than the actual cost of just paying the sales tax. In fact, that's very common. We're facing that now, where for us, the cost of the software or the person that it would take for us to comply with the sales tax is far more money than we actually spend paying sales tax. Similarly, with other regulations and your other regulatory type things, think HR, think pollution and emission standards for businesses, think OSHA, American with Disabilities Act. All of those regulatory things are expensive for small businesses, and they're almost more expensive for small businesses than for large businesses. Because, for example, Target has a group of people, and their job is to just make sure that all of the targets are in compliance with these various regulations. Well, they have a handful of people doing that, but the cost per store of that compliance is very low. However, if you're a small business and you've got one store, that cost of compliance can get really high. So a lot of small businesses, I think, during this time, and just during, well, it's always, but during the election season a lot, I think that's a topic that is on a lot of small business owners' mind. There are other factors, things like minimum wage discussions, that always comes up. Obviously, taxation is a really big issue for a lot of small business owners, because business owners are often the ones that get hit hardest with taxation. And I'll tell you why. LLCs, which is what most small businesses are considered pass-through for corporations. I believe S corporations are also pass-through. What that means is that, for example, Murdy Creative LLC, let's say that company made, actually, let's just pick a different line. Let's just say you were talking about Joe's Plumbing, right? And it's an LLC. Joe's Plumbing makes $750,000 in revenue a year and spends $500,000 on costs, on expenses, right? There's $250,000 left over. Now, Joe is going to spend that money buying advertising in the future. He's going to spend that money doing all sorts of things, right? He's going to do things. So if at the end of 2020, right, there's $250,000 in leftover money in profit, Joe's going to pay taxes as if he made $250,000 plus whatever his salary was. He's going to pay that as if it was all his income. However, for example, most of that $250,000 is probably going to go right back into the business the next year as far as advertising or paying for help or buying more materials or buying a truck or whatever. So when you look at small businesses, the business owners are often the ones that get hardest hit by taxation changes, because those taxes, the business's success, right, almost all of that gets eaten away in taxes, which is difficult. So that's another thing that comes up a lot of times during election discussions, and what small business owners are often thinking about during this time and while they're, preparing for the future. Because while those changes, regulatory changes, changes like minimum wage or all of that stuff is legislative, right? While all of those things are truly controlled by Congress and their legislative discussions, whoever in many ways is the president, that can lead the discussion in a different direction, right? They a lot of times, and this is not always, but in a lot of times, the president sets the agenda for their party in Congress. So that's one of the things when you're looking at what do small business owners think about and care about. And while those changes may not ever come to fruition, and while those changes may not happen soon, it's something that once the election happens and during the election season, it's something that they're thinking about. And if different people are elected, no matter what the party or no matter what their positions, they will change their behavior. Small business owners will change their behavior. They will either become more prone to spending the money they have in the bank, or they may become more prone to saving the money they have in the bank. They may make decisions about where to invest their money, right? That maybe rather than hiring more people, if the minimum wage is going to go up, maybe they'll spend more money on equipment, or they'll pay their current people a little bit more money and hope to get more hours out of them, right? There's different effects that these have. And there was a great thing called the Cobra Effect. I was reading an article about it. I'll see if I can find it and put it in the comments if I can find it. But the Cobra Effect talks about specifically the concept of unintended consequence of regulation and of government influence. For example, in India, cobras were a very real problem. They were causing a lot of damage, a lot of problems. And so the government created a bounty for cobras. If you killed a cobra and you brought it in, you could get a bounty for it. Well, obviously, this took care of a lot of the cobras on the street. A lot of them were taken care of and brought in for bounties, but it also led to people starting to raise cobras in captivity in their homes to kill them to take the bounty. Well, the government decided, okay, well, we're going to not pay the bounty anymore. What did everybody do? Everybody who had cobras in their homes just released them, and the cobra problem got worse, right? So one of the things that a lot of business owners are thinking about is the concept of unintended consequences. And oftentimes, because of the position that we're in the market, right, as people who have employees, as people who oftentimes on our taxes look like we make a lot of money, even though that's not necessarily the case, as people who are responsible for the legal ramifications of regulations, those are all of the things that play into decision making, and we will, in many ways, adapt what we decide to do next based off of who we think is going to be, the next president, who we think is going, we think they're going to do. So it's a complicated world we live in, and it's never going to be easy, and it's never going to be simple. I do have faith, however, that no matter what direction this election goes, it's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. We're going to move on, right? I think we put a lot of stake in who's in charge. We say that it's very important. I don't know if it's not important, but I don't think about it. I've got more important things to think about than who the president is. I got more important things to think about than what the president's doing today. I have far more important things to think about what the president's doing on any given moment and every given day, right? I have things right here, right now. And so I'm going to focus on those problems. I'm going to solve those problems. And when the other problems come, if they may, we'll deal with them then. But it does matter in the long run. I would urge everyone who is able to vote, if you haven't gone and voted, do so. But educate yourself on any way you'd like, right? Or if you're not going to educate yourself, maybe then don't vote. I'm not going to say don't vote. You shouldn't. You should always vote. But don't be an uninformed voter. That does nobody any good. I am very excited for what the future of this company holds. I have all faith that we will get through this. It may not be easy right away. It may not immediately go back to like life as we know it. But one thing 2020 has taught me is that we're just going to solve the problem, whatever it be, and we'll make it through. We always have. All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Be sure to check back in Thursday for our next topic, and don't forget to check that subscribe button as well as the alert notification to get that latest podcast right away. If you have any questions or concerns about your leather binder, journal, folio, mask, anything that we sell, feel free to contact us on the main page of our website at murdycreative.co, or you can contact us via Instagram and Facebook. You can text, email, call, direct message, all the usuals. We'll do our best to get back to you right away, but we appreciate your patience. If you want to get a hold of us about an order or something that needs to be changed in a hurry, feel free to give us a phone call, 414-434-9001. You can also text that number if that's what you'd like to do. Texting is very simple for us to respond to. It's good for quick answers. If it's a little more complicated, like it's a custom order or something like that, email is usually better. But if it's just a quick thing, like you want to change the engraving, give us a phone call. Our customer service hours are from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. So if you send us an email on Saturday, we're probably not going to get to it until we get back on Monday. So we appreciate your patience. If you think we deserve it, a good review can go a long way to help us grow our new community. Leaving a review on the podcast is always helpful. It really gets people to be more inclined to listen, and it really is fun for me to read them. But if you want to leave a review on the product, you can go to murdycreative.co/reviews. There's a button there that says leave us a good review. You can also read through all of the amazing reviews we have there. It's going to take you to Facebook, facebook.com/murdycreative.co/reviews. You can also type murdycreative.co to the top of the Facebook bar, and on the left-hand side, there will be the reviews tab. You can click on that. It says, do you recommend the Murdy Creative Company? You can click yes and then write out your review. We use that platform mostly because it helps us make sure that, you as an individual know that we're not like lying. We're not just making up these reviews. So you guys can go and leave us a review. It really does help. It means the world to us. We read them all. We love them all. Most of the time we put them on the workshop wall so people can see them. It is great. So you can leave us a review on the product. If you have problems with your product or any reason that you would leave us a bad review, reach out to us. We want to make sure that we take care of it. It really means the world to us that we have happy customers. So we really want to take care of you. If you want to share the product, if it's getting to be that Christmas time, right? So if you want to help the company out in a different way and you want to share the company with your friends and family, or you have a gift you want from the company and you want to send a reminder to your friends and family who are looking for giving you gifts, if you click log in at the top of the website and you sign up or you become a member, which all you need to do is put in email, a user email, and a password. There's no fees. There's nothing. It's a free way to keep track of your purchases. If you do that, you can get not only 5% back on anything you spend on the Murdy Creative Company website, but you can also get a shareable link. That link, if you send it to people, is unique to you. And if they use that link, they get $5 off their first purchase, and you get $5 when they buy something. So it's a great way to share the company. We really want to help you guys, be able to have the tools you need to do so, and it means the world to us. So please definitely share the company. If you have any podcast topics you want to hear more about, send them my way. I am always happy to talk about what you guys want to hear, and it really does help. There's always podcasts that I have to come up with, and coming up with topics can be tricky sometimes. So I really appreciate those who have submitted topics in the past, and please don't hesitate to do so. You can send us an email. You can leave it in the comments below on YouTube. You can send us a tweet, text, anything like that, and we will be happy to I'm sure Melinda will make sure I get them. So if you're looking for multiple binders, folios, masks, anything we sell, for gifts, giveaways, menus, really any reason, we do have bulk discounts available. So ask. It is a minimum order quantity. The bulk discounts start at 5, and it can be 5 of one thing or 1 of 5 things. It's just based off of the cart total quantity. So and it just goes up the more you buy. So if you're a business owner, or you're just someone who wants to get all your Christmas presents taken care of at one time, you can reach out to us via sales@murdycreative.co, SALES at murdycreative.co, and we can get you issued a bulk discount code for you to use to give gifts to your friends or your employees or whatever it may be. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and goodbye.